Hello guys, I hope you're all okay. So this is a continuation from the previous video where we were looking at HTML, and now we're going to look at CSS. And CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it's what allows you to add style to a web page. Because as we've seen in the HTML video before, you can't really style HTML, it just looks pretty boring. And CSS is actually quite an important topic because let's say we go to Amazon, or any website for that matter. I've downloaded a web development toolkit, and what I'm going to do is disable all of the CSS in this website. And what happens is we get rid of all the CSS, and now it just has loads of HTML tags. So we've got like href tags, we've got paragraph tags, we've got just some image tags. You know, we haven't got, it's all fairly awful and really doesn't look very nice. And that's exactly what CSS allows us to do. It allows us to make our website much more aesthetically pleasing. And that's what we're going to look at today. So today, as CSS is quite a big topic, you can add animations and things like that into it, which is quite complex. What I decided to do is show you some of the basics of CSS. And to do that, what we're going to do is just create a basic website. So this is the website that we're going to create. It's just one that I knocked together. So we've got a nice little background. We've got some videos, and when we hover over them, it changes the opacity. We've also got a nice navigation bar, and which is green when you're on the selected tab. And if you want to go on to different tabs, then it changes to aqua. I've also got some pictures down here, and when I hover over them, it increases the size of the picture as well. And I've also got a copyright symbol there. And that's basically it. Okay, I've also got some links in different places. And just so you know what this website looks like without HTML, this is what it looks like. So it looks fairly awful compared to this, which is adding CSS. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing, and that's what CSS is really for. So what I'm going to do is start up Visual Studio. Now close the solution. Yeah, that's fine. No. So Visual Studio is a IDE that you may be familiar with if you've done some programming in the past. If not, this is basically what you would be using to create pretty much anything. The reason I'm using it instead of something like Sublime Text and Notepad++ is because it's significantly more powerful. It has a number of features that enable us to write much more efficient and fast pieces of code. And it's just something I use on a daily basis. I absolutely love it. If you don't have Visual Studio, then you can go to visualstudio.com and you can download the Community Edition 2017 for Windows, or if you've got a Mac, then you can download the Mac OS version. Microsoft have only just released this, so I don't know how stable it is. But you can also download Visual Studio Code, which is a much thinned out version of Visual Studio. And you can download this for all operating systems, including 64 and 32-bit versions. So enough of that. What we're going to do now is get into it. So I'm going to create a new folder, possibly. Yeah, I'm just going to call it New Website. And I am then going to click Open Website. If you don't have Open Website there, then you can go to File, Open, and Website. Click New Website and Open. And this is what we're going to be given in Visual Studio. So what we're going to do is add a few folders to make our website files nice and neat. So we're going to add a HTML folder, a CSS folder, and an images folder. And inside all of these, we're going to add their respective files. So in HTML, we're going to add an HTML file. We're going to call it index. And in CSS, we're going to add a style sheet. And we're going to call this style. Okay. And also, wrong one. you'll see that it's been reflected in our original folder. Okay, so as we've seen in the previous video, this is the basic outline of a web page, and it's what Visual Studio gives you just as soon as you've created a HTML page, folder, which is quite nice. So the first thing that we're going to do is link our CSS file. We do that by using the link tag rel style sheet, type text CSS, and then href CSS style sheet. In the style, we can write something like my web page. Don't worry about this purple underline, it's just something that I've added to Visual Studio. It's an extension and it's just for spelling and stuff like that, because I'm a terrible speller. Okay, so inside the body tag, we're going to add a number of containers, and as if you remember from the previous video, a web page is just a series of containers that contain bits of information pertinent to that specific thing. So we're going to add a header. We're going to use div id equals header. Close that. Then we're going to add a content container, div id equals content, and close that. And inside this content, we're going to add a navigation bar, so div id equals nav, and we're going to add a main tag as well, or just an id main. And main is going to hold just all of our main content. And then we're going to add a footer. And that's pretty much it. So this is going to be the structure of our website. There's going to be a few more things added to it, a few more containers, but we'll get to them a little later. So inside the header, actually, let's get up that just for reference. So we're going to add a h1 tag, and we're going to call it, what was it? My web page. Okay, and we're also going to create a link to this, or we're going to create a link to the home page, because that's what most websites use, or at least have. And we're going to get rid of that and place the closing a tag at the end, and there we go. So now, if we run this, you can just choose the first option, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and now we've got a link to the web page, or at least we've created a link in our web page header file, in our h tag. The next thing we're going to do is our navigation bar, and for our navigation we're going to use unordered lists, and we learned how to do that in the previous video. So we create an unordered list and then we populate it just using list items, and we're going to have a home page, home page. We're going to add another list, and this one can be HTML view. And let's just add another one. Let's maybe an about us or a contact us, maybe. Like so. The next thing we're going to do, okay, in our main, what we can use is a site called Lorem Ipsum. Lorem Ipsum is just nonsense text, but it's what you would use to just generate complete random text for a website that you're currently building. And what I'm going to do is add a paragraph tag and copy and paste all of that into there. And in our footer, we are going to have another paragraph tag, and we will call it will be our copyright. And to write to get the copyright symbol, use ampersand copy and then 2018 and your name. So if we go to that one, So this is all of the content that we've got, and if I go back to this one and the HTML view, it's pretty much identical. Now there are a few images and videos, but we'll get onto them a little later. The only thing is that these need some links, so we'll add them now. And to do that, we simply just write an href inside, and we will link it. We'll just link it to nothing. We do that by writing a hashtag. Again, we'll put the closing at the end, and we'll do this for all of them. Hashtag, and then close there. Close. And then a href. Hashtag. And then put that there. So now, that's the other one. Now they look pretty much identical. Again, the only difference being that you've got some videos and some images there, but like we said, we'll get to that in a minute. Our copyright symbol's the same, our text is probably different, but it doesn't really matter. But all of our links are in place, and so we can now get into the CSS and styling this web page to make it look a bit more interesting. So let's go into style. So the first thing we've got is our body tag. Now this will, in a web page, the entire web page, pretty much everything you see here is inside the body tag, and that's the body of the web page. So anything in here will be the same throughout the entire web page. So this could allow us to add some defaults. So maybe our text size or our color, or maybe the font's type, things like that. So that's pretty much what we'll do. We'll add a font type, or at least font family in this case. And because not all browsers are the same, or they don't have the same font family or the font type, we will add a number of different ones. And I'll add Arial, Helvetica, and sans serif. And you end with a semicolon, and then we're going to add a size, so font size. Now you can use any one of these, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to use, or you can type in the number of pixels that you want to use, and I'm going to use 15. The next one I'm going to do is, well, at the moment I'll just write color, so I'll change the color and I'll just put it to red. And there we go. So our font family has changed, the size of this has changed, and our color has changed. The color of the links haven't changed yet, but we'll get onto them a bit later because you need to explicitly target the A tag to change the color and the different characteristics of that particular element. But as we saw in this one, we have a quite nice little background. If we enlarge it, we have a nice little background there. So what we're going to do is we're going to input a background image. But to do that, first what we need to do is actually get an image. So I've got a few downloaded already, but you can go to Google and type in anything. So I just typed in space and images, and you can pick any one you want, but and make sure that you've saved them and you download them and save it inside the images folder. So what I'm going to do is just copy and paste these. I'm going to paste them inside my images folder like so, and you can see as well in our website folder that it's again been applied there as well. So to apply the background image, we can type background image URL, and then we need the URL of or at least the file path of our image, and we can write out we'll just write, there we go, and images, and I think it's space the one I use, and then semicolon. Yeah, and that's another thing. Visual Studio allows you to see the actual picture that you've imported, and I believe that is the same one. I don't know, we'll just use it because it looks nice, and we'll change the color to white. So if we look now, I've got too many open. Is it that one? No, it's not. Oh, I closed it, that's why. You may get this screen, but that just means that we have launched it in our CSS folder. We need to launch it in the HTML folder. That's what that means. So if we launch it in HTML, we've now got this, which is all very nice and lovely. So we've changed the color to white now, and we've also got a background image in there. Now, there's a few different things you can do with background images. You can have a play with them, so there'll be things like repeat or no repeat or position, things like that, and fixed. So, for example, you could have an image, let's say here, and it will be fixed to that position. So if you scroll, it will always be at the top of your view. So, yeah, if that is interesting, then you can have a play with that. Like I said, there's loads and loads of things you can do with CSS. This is why so what I'm doing is just giving you some of the basics to get going with. So to target an ID, we use a hash symbol or a hashtag, and we're targeting the header tag, the header div. And what we're going to do is align this text to the center. So text align center. And yeah, sorry, it was the header, so it's aligning this to the center. You can also align it to the right if you want. You can align it to any part of the page, but what I'm going to do is align it to the center. So like I said, there's loads of different options for all of these different things, and I'd recommend you just play around with whatever you like and see what you quite like. So the next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of padding. So padding, I'll just show you. On a web page, this is the padding, then there's the border and the margin. Okay, and you can have a play around with what these do more. So let's go to a more interesting page. Let's go to that one and inspect. So now we've got quite a bit of padding there. We've got no border, but let's say we want to add a border, 50 pixels. Doesn't really do much, I don't think. But again, so these are just the spacings for a particular element. And what I'm going to do is add some padding. Oh, that's another thing. With padding, you've got 4 different options: bottom, left, right, or top. Just like in here, we've got bottom, left, right, or top. And let's say we want to apply to all of, or at least let's say we want to just apply to 1 or 2 of these. What you can do is write padding, : and then Visual Studio has kindly given you the order in which you can place these. So let's say you want 3 on the top, then you would write 3, then 4, then 5, or so on. But let's say we just want to add, let's say, 1 pixel of padding around the entire thing, the bottom, left, right, and top. We can just write 1 pixel, and that will apply to all of the areas. And so now it's just given us a little bit of space, which is nice. And now to change, what I'm going to do is just change the color of this, but you can't do it inside the header tag, I don't think, anyway. We'll just try it. Now, what you need to do is you need to target the A tag of the header, and you can do that by writing header A, hashtag A. And now we're targeting the A tag. We can then say color white. And now it's changed our heading to white. So the next thing to do is the content ID. Content. And in the content, the content is going to have a width of 80% of the view, which means that it's going to look something like this. And then we're going to add a margin. Now, what I want it to do is centralize this, and what I can do is just use auto, and now it's centralized all of it. So for divs and using margin, you can use margin to centralize horizontally, I think, vertically. It's one of them. I think it might be vertically, actually. Oh, I can't remember. I'll find out at the end of the video and probably link it somewhere. Okay, so it's looking a bit better. It's looking similar to what we had. So the next thing is the nav ID. Nav. So there's a few elements inside the nav that we need to address. There's first of all just the nav tag in general, and then there is the nav ID. Then there is the unordered list in the nav, and there is the links, the list items in the nav. So there's a few different things we need to address in here. So for just the nav, I don't want any of these. So I don't want the underline. So to get rid of that, you can write text align. It's text. Sorry, it's line. Where is it? Line. Sorry. List style type, and that will be none. Oh, it hasn't worked. Yeah, that's because okay. Why aren't you working? Just bear with me 1 second. Sorry, it was just a simple thing. I was supposed to put it into the unordered list part instead of the nav ID. So I write list style type and then none, and that will get rid of the bullet points. And then to get rid of the underlines, it is actually, did I did. Okay. Oh, absolute muppet. Sorry. No, there's another ID that we need to target, and that is the A tag. And to get rid of the underline in to get rid of the underline for the links, we need to use text decoration none. There we go. Sorry, completely missed that. But oh well. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of padding again around the nav bar. Pixeled in. Yeah. And then I'm going to, in this version, we have like a little border. So I'm going to add a background color. Actually, background color. And I'm going to use, I've got one written down. Now, the thing about color is that there's over 60 million possible color combinations. So choosing just one with a name is, it's not very, you don't have an awful lot of control over it. What you can do is you can type in hashtag, and this means that we're going to choose a specific RGB color, which is red, green, blue. And I'm going to use 808080, semicolon. And now it's given us a nice little, well, a reasonable grey-ish. now I'm going to look at the actually, yeah, I guess good. Yeah, no. So in the list, I'm going to add some. Well, I'm going to put margin to 0. I'm also going to put padding to 0. This will just mean that there's nothing around it. And I'm also going to use something called overflow. And this just means if there's anything that overflows, there won't be like a little scroll bar like this. And the final thing I'm going to add is a background color. And I'm going to choose, and I'm going to choose 338. Okay. And now in the list, I want these to be on the same line. Okay. So what I can do is I can write display inline block. And apparently nothing will. Oh, that's why. Call it now, not nav. There we go. I wasn't being stupid that time. Yay. Okay then. So the next part of the nav, we're looking at the A tag, and we're going to put it into a little block. So we're going to say display block, and doing that, we're then going to change the color to white, and then we can. What did the other one look like? Okay. Change the color to white, and then we're going to add some padding. Okay. And this time I'm going to choose 14 pixels on the top, and I'm going to choose around 16 or so. And now we've got it looking a bit more like what we had before. How did the other one? Okay. So it's looking it's looking a little bit more like. So the next thing what we need to do is we need to hover over this and make the background color light up. And to do that, we need to use a function called hover. And again, we use that by writing nav a colon hover. And we in the hover, we just changed the background color. And let's choose aqua. So now we've got it changing colors when we hover over it. And one final thing that I wanted to do is when you are on the selected window, so in this case we're in home page, I want it to be green. So I'm going to just go inside here. Yeah. I'm going to write or in that. Yeah. I'm going to write class equals selected. Yeah. Now we're going to go back. And to target a class, we need a full stop and then selected. And again, I'm going to change the background color to green, for example. There we go. So now it's looking a bit more like it was. What was the next thing to do? Okay, probably the next thing would be to add the videos, I think. Got that, we've got that, we've got that. got the text, and yeah, next thing we'll add a little sidebar to add in our videos. So I'm going to add in the sidebar outside of the main, but inside the content. I'm just going to add some videos. So let's get something. Let's get some space-related videos. Oh, that one looks quite cool. Click on that. And we shall go to share and embed and iframe. I'm going to go back to here, add in a few, and I'm going to take out all of the style. Except for that. Okay, so now we've got our images, well, our videos. I'll see if I can minimize. No, we'll go with that for now. But what we wanted is for these to be underneath each other. So if we go back, well, they would be underneath each other. Actually, yeah, just like that. And to do that, we can simply use a break. This might not be the best way to do it, but it works, so we'll do that. So now they're all underneath each other, and now we can start putting them at the side in our little sidebar. So if we go back to our style.css, we can then create our little sidebar. But I think the first thing I'll do first is create the main. So the main, which is this content here. So let's go underneath nav, and we want to target the main, so it's an ID, and we use a hashtag. And then what I want to do is use a width of around 60% of the window. Oops. 60%. And then then what do I want to do? Then what do I want to do? I want to have a text align, and I want to justify it. What does that look like? Okay, that's a little bit better. And right. So what I want to do, actually, I'll put in the final bit. So sidebar. And I'll have a width of, I can't spell. Width of 30%. Okay, so what I want to do is have this particular container, this div, or this sidebar, I want to actually at the side. Okay, and to do that, we need to use something called float. So we're going to float this. We're going to float all of this content to the right, and we're going to float the main to the left side of the screen. So we do that by writing float left, and in our sidebar we can say float right. And so now it's now floated across here, so it's now much more in line, and it's looking a bit more like our previous one. Now our copyright symbol is there, so what I'm going to do is just add in the footer. And for our footer, what I need to do is I need to say a rule. So I'm going to say clear both. What this will do is it will remain, as soon as all float tags have been cleared, it will then like show. So it will wait until all floats have been cleared, and then it will go to wherever that is, wherever the end of those floats are. So in our footer, we also want to add some padding. Let's add a pixel of padding, and let's text align right. Oops. Okay, so it's now looking nearly, well, it's looking fairly close to what we had. Next thing, what shall I do next? I think the next thing I'll do is, yeah, we'll hover these, I think. Will we? Yes, we will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class for these. So I'm going to say class videos. And I'm going to include that to all the different videos. Oh, I've missed out my... Okay. And now, in our... what I can do is write sidebar. Is it inside? Yes, it is. I can write sidebar, and then because I'm wanting to target a class, I need to target videos, and I want to set those to a width of around 240 pixels, I think. And again, I wanted to create a hover function to the sidebar. Hover. And then I'm going to set the opacity. So this is the transparency to 0.5. Oops. So now when you hover over them, it changes the opacity to 0.5. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is add in the gallery, or some of the pictures. So I've already got in some of my pictures, I think, so I'm going to create another div tag, again inside the content. So inside here, I'm going to say, what shall I say, div gallery maybe, or div images, something like that. And then close, and then I'm going to add some images. So image source, and we'll go for that one. And we'll create a class, and we'll call it we'll call that gallery and that one image. Copy and paste this. And we'll change the source one and the other one to that one, I think. Is that all of them? Yeah. Okay, so now if we put those in, they've gone all the way up there. So what we need to do there is first we need to specify them, and we do that again by writing hashtag for the ID, and then gallery. And first we need to say float. Oops, right. And that sorts out that. The next thing that I want to do is, again, just add some padding to space out a little bit, make it look a bit nicer, a bit neater. It doesn't actually really do that much. What about 5? Actually wondering if that does do anything. We'll keep it in, why not? Then then we want to specify the actual, we'd want to target the images. We use gallery image, and I want to put a border around them. So border, and what should we have? We'll have maybe a double. How does that look? Oh, that looks okay. And then, what else should we have? Oh, wait a minute. Either way, it didn't matter. So how does that look? That was okay. And the final thing, well, actually the second final thing, is adding the hover function for the gallery. So like before, what I did was when you move your mouse over it, it increases its height and its width. So to do the same thing, we need to target gallery. And this time we want to target the specific class. And we do that by writing full stop. And what was the class? It was image. Image. And we want to increase the width. Let's say 500 pixels. Put height to auto. Oh, and hover. So now when we hover over it, it increases the size of each individual image, which is quite nice. And then maybe the final thing is to add a border to our videos. So we go to sidebar, dot videos. Is it add a border? Double. What was, I think it was a black border. Was it a black border? It was a black border. I think it was a bit thicker, so let's add some pixels to it. It's not bad. So I think that is pretty much it. So if we get them side by side now. Close enough. So both the text is on the side. We've got a sidebar, well, on the side. We've got a navigation bar and it changes color. We've got links. And if we go down, our images increase in size. That's a little bit odd, but there we go. And there. So just need to go down a little bit. And we've got our copyright symbol there. Okay, so if we go to our HTML view now, we haven't put in the HTML view. So the final thing to do now, you can enlarge that, is create another HTML folder. Well, not a folder, an item, sorry. HTML, and we'll call it index. Now we'll call it HTML view. And because all we're doing is just using this without the style sheet, we can copy and paste everything, take that out. And now, fingers crossed, that should be it. So that's that. And it hasn't gone back, so I haven't actually said where I want it to go. So for the HTML view, I want it to go to, can't remember what called, HTML view, and in this we'll say CSS view, and we'll link it to index.html. Go back, so CSS view, and it goes to here, and HTML view, oh, it doesn't go. Let's fix, oh, it might have just needed saving. Let's go back. So try again, HTML view, and it goes to HTML. CSS goes to CSS. So that's it. So there is quite a number of other things you can do with CSS. You can add loads of animations. You can add transitions. You can add gradient colors and pictures, and you can do loads and loads of stuff with CSS. And as I was writing a lot of it, you saw Visual Studio populating, or at least giving me suggestions as to what I could add. So if I just type in background, you've got loads of different background stuff you can add. You could repeat possibly, and then you've got loads of other different things. So what I would recommend is you go into something like W3 Schools and just looking at their CSS tutorials, wherever it is. So Learn CSS, and just going through all of these. So there's loads of stuff. So there's over 300 examples here. And there's loads and loads and loads of stuff that you can do with it. So have a look at that. If you want an advanced CSS tutorial, then let me know down in the comments. If not, I will get on with the JavaScript video and we'll have some fun there. So I hope you found it useful, and yeah, see you later.